The planet Galder 7 lay cloaked in a dense mist, a desolate landscape of craggy mountains and yawning chasms. Dr. Ilara Voss stood at the helm of a makeshift excavation site, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Around her, a team of xenologists from various alien species worked feverishly, brushing away centuries of dust to reveal the hulking silhouette of an ancient human warship. Asterisk, the resolute asterisk. "Look at this," shouted Thren, a tall, reptilian being with shimmering scales. He held up a corroded piece of metal, the remnants of a hatch. "This design is almost primitive. How could such a ship ever stand against a true war fleet?" Ilara shot him a sharp look. "Primitive. This vessel holds secrets that could change everything we know about warfare." She approached the ship, its exterior marred but still formidable. Humanity may have been technologically inferior compared to some species, but they had an ingenuity that we can barely comprehend. As the Coalition's council members gathered, their skepticism hung thick in the air. Various leaders, adorned in elaborate robes and armor, scoffed at the sight of the ship. High Commander Celis, a towering figure of crystalline elegance, crossed his arms, his voice dripping with derision. "You think this antiquity can pose a threat? It's a mere curiosity, a relic of a bygone era." The tension crackled, and Ilara felt her resolve strengthening. "It's not just a relic. It's a warship. We need to study it more closely. Who knows what technology we might uncover?" Celis waved a dismissive hand. "We have more pressing matters. The Syndicate is amassing forces in the Outer Rim. We cannot afford to waste time on this curiosity." Ignoring the Council's dismissive attitudes, Ilara turned back to her team, who were busy preparing their equipment. They exchanged glances, an unspoken agreement forming between them. They would not let this opportunity slip away. She activated a portable scanner, the device whirring as it surveyed the ship's structural integrity. Suddenly, the scanner beeped erratically. "Wait," Ilara said, her heart racing. "There's energy readings, significant ones, coming from within." Her voice cut through the Council's chatter. The leaders fell silent, curiosity piqued despite their skepticism. Ilara pressed on. "This ship has a power source that could still be operational. We need to access it." High Commander Celis's brows furrowed, a flicker of interest breaking through his aloof demeanor. "And what if it's unstable? You could endanger us all." "We won't know unless we try," Ilara replied, her voice steady. "We can't just leave it buried and forgotten. We owe it to ourselves, and to humanity, to understand what we found." After a tense moment, Celis relented, albeit grudgingly. "Very well, proceed. But if this goes awry, you will answer for it." With renewed determination, Ilara and her team set to work, carefully prying open access panels and deciphering the ancient human technology. As they moved deeper into the ship, an exhilarating sense of purpose surged through her. They were on the brink of an extraordinary discovery, one that could redefine the balance of power in the galaxy. As the last panel creaked open, the air crackled with energy, and a deep rumble echoed from within the ship. Ilara exchanged nervous glances with her team. The ship was waking up, and they were about to unleash something the galaxy had long forgotten. A piece of humanity's legacy that would change everything. Ilara's heart raced as she stepped deeper into the shadowy interior of Asterisk, the resolute Asterisk. The air was thick with the scent of ancient metal and forgotten technology, sending a thrill of anticipation coursing through her veins. Her team fanned out, scanning the surroundings, their tools beeping and humming with excitement. "Look here," shouted Thren, his voice echoing off the metallic walls. He pointed to a large control panel, partially illuminated by flickering lights. "This might be the main power interface." Ilara joined him, her eyes wide with awe. The panel was a jumble of buttons and screens, many covered in dust, but some still glimmered with life. As she brushed away the grime, she could make out faint, glowing symbols, an ancient language she recognized from her studies. It's still operational, she exclaimed, almost unable to believe it. Let's fire it up, Friend suggested, his excitement palpable. Ilara hesitated for a moment, the weight of the moment settling on her shoulders. We need to be careful. We don't know what might happen when we activate it. But as she met the eager expressions of her team, she knew they were ready to take the risk. With a deep breath, she pressed the largest button in the center of the panel. The ship responded instantly, a low hum vibrating through the structure. The lights flickered and then stabilized, casting a bluish glow across the room. "Did you feel that?" one of her teammates whispered, eyes wide. Suddenly, the ship shuddered and alarms blared, echoing ominously through the hallways. Ilara's pulse quickened as the lights above shifted from blue to a fierce red. "What did we do?" she shouted, her voice drowned by the blaring klaxons. "Reverting power," Friend called back, fingers dancing over the controls. "We need to stabilize it." As he worked, Ilara's mind raced. They were tapping into something far beyond their understanding. The ship's core was coming online, and with it, the potential for power, both incredible and terrifying. She knew they had to regain control before the awakening escalated into catastrophe. "Focus," she urged her team. "If we can manage to redirect the energy, we might stabilize it." Friend nodded, urgency reflected in his eyes. "I'll try to access the mainframe. If we can interface with the AI, it might help us regain control." While Friend worked feverishly, Ilara moved to another panel, frantically inputting commands she hoped would aid their efforts. The rumbling intensified, and suddenly, a voice filled the chamber, deep and resonant. "Awakening sequence complete. Systems online." The voice was mechanical yet oddly soothing. Ilara's breath caught in her throat. "Did it just speak?" she asked, turning to her team. Friend grinned, exhilaration flooding his expression. "I think it did. The ship has an eye. If we can communicate with it, we might gain an ally." "Let's not celebrate just yet," Ilara cautioned. "We still need to stabilize the energy output." With renewed focus, she returned to her controls, working in tandem with Thren. Together, they managed to slow the oscillating energy levels, reducing the chaotic vibrations that threatened to tear the ship apart. As the alarms quieted, the AI's voice echoed once more. "Systems stabilized. Energy output at optimal levels, awaiting commands." Ilara exchanged looks with her team, their expressions shifting from fear to exhilaration. They had done it. They had awakened Asterisk, the resolute Asterisk and its eye, a piece of humanity's legacy thought lost to time. "Now let's see what this ship can really do," Ilara said, a determined gleam in her eyes. "We need to prepare for what comes next. We're not just dealing with ancient technology anymore. We might be humanity's last hope against whatever threat is looming in the galaxy." Just then, the ship's sensors flared to life, and a holographic display flickered above the console, revealing a massive fleet approaching the Coalition's homeworld. Ilara's heart dropped. Korath's forces were on the move. Time was running out. They had to act fast. The holographic display pulsed ominously, revealing a vast armada of sleek warships cutting through the darkness of space, each adorned with the insignia of General Korath, a ruthless conqueror known for his merciless campaigns across the galaxy. Ilara's heart raced as she processed the data streaming in. The Coalition's homeworld was in grave danger. "We have to warn them," Friend shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "They need to know what's coming. Not just warn them. Prepare to defend." Ilara replied, her mind racing. "We can't let Korath's fleet catch them off guard. Asterisk, their resolute Asterisk is armed. We need to mobilize and get this ship operational for combat." The AI's voice resonated through the control room. "All weapon systems are operational, awaiting commands for battle readiness." Ilara's pulse quickened. What weapons does this ship possess? "Energy projectors, missile launchers, and a strategic targeting system," the AI responded. "The energy projectors can be calibrated for maximum yield, capable of incapacitating multiple targets at once. Then let's get to work. Ilara directed her team, their fear transforming into determination. We have no time to lose. Fren, focus on the targeting systems. We need to plot Koreth's trajectory. Everyone else, familiarize yourselves with the weapon controls. We're going to make history today. As her team scrambled to execute their tasks, Ilara couldn't shake the nagging feeling that they were about to step into a war far greater than they anticipated. Still, the thrill of piloting a living piece of humanity's history surged through her veins. This ship could change the fate of the Coalition, and perhaps the galaxy itself. Within moments, the ship's systems hummed with activity. Fren, hunched over his console, shouted, "I've locked onto their trajectory. They're coming in fast. Estimated time to impact is less than an hour." "Prepare to engage the energy projectors," Ilara ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We need to time our shots perfectly." The atmosphere in the control room shifted from chaotic to charged. The crew worked seamlessly, adrenaline pumping as they prepared Asterisk, the resolute Asterisk, for its first combat mission in centuries. The holographic display showed Koreth's fleet, a dark mass of ships moving inexorably toward their target. "Energy levels at maximum," the AI announced, its voice calm and authoritative. "Weapon systems ready for deployment. Hold fire until they're within range," Ilara instructed, her eyes fixed on the approaching enemy. "We'll show them what we're made of." As the fleet neared, tension mounted. Ilara could feel her heart thumping in sync with the ship's pulsing core. She had never faced an enemy like Koreth before, but she had a sense that they were about to unleash something the galaxy had not seen in ages, human ingenuity combined with advanced technology. Suddenly, alarms blared again, breaking the concentration of the crew. "Incoming transmission." Fren yelled, "It's the Council. Patch it through." Ilara commanded, cutting him off. A holographic image of High Commander Celis appeared, his expression a mix of determination and desperation. "Ilara, are you in position? Koreth's fleet is less than 30 minutes away. We need every available ship to defend the homeworld." "We're ready, Commander," she replied, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Asterisk, the resolute Asterisk, is fully operational, and we're preparing to engage." Celis's eyes widened, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. "You've done it. You've awakened the ship. But we need you on the front lines. Not here. Your presence may tip the balance." Ilara nodded, adrenaline surging through her. "We'll make every shot count. Koreth won't know what hit him." As the transmission ended, she turned to her team. "All right, everyone. Let's give them a welcome they'll never forget. Prepare for battle." With a united cry, they took their positions. Ilara felt a surge of hope. This was humanity's moment to shine. And with Asterisk, the resolute Asterisk, at their command, they were ready to confront the darkness. The ship roared with energy, eager to reclaim its legacy as the tide of war approached. The atmosphere aboard Asterisk, the resolute Asterisk, crackled with tension as Ilara and her crew braced for battle. The ship's systems hummed in anticipation, a living entity poised to unleash its might. The holographic display flickered with the approaching enemy fleet, each warship a menacing shadow against the backdrop of stars. "Battle stations," Ilara commanded, her voice steady despite the rising stakes. She glanced at Fren, who was feverishly calibrating the targeting systems. "How long until they're in firing range?" 10 minutes. He called back, his focus unwavering. "We'll need to be precise. Their ships are heavily armored." Ilara nodded, her mind racing through tactics. They had to hit hard and fast, exploiting any weaknesses in Koreth's formation. She turned to the crew, her expression resolute. "This is our chance to show the galaxy what humanity can do. We've studied their tactics. Let's outsmart them." As the crew worked in concert, Ilara felt a swell of pride. Each member brought unique skills and perspectives, and they were all united by a common goal: survival. Weapons primed and ready. A voice from the weapons station announced, breaking her concentration. Good. Thren, have you plotted their weaknesses? Working on it, he replied, sweat beading on his forehead. The center ship in their formation is larger, likely their flagship. If we can take it out, we might disrupt their coordination. Ilara nodded, considering their options. Then let's focus fire on that flagship. If we can destabilize their command structure, we might gain an edge. Prepare the energy projectors for maximum yield. Energy levels at 80% and rising. Thren called out, his excitement infectious. Just a few more adjustments. Suddenly, alarms blared once more, and the AI's voice cut through the tension. Enemy ships entering firing range. Initiating battle protocols. Hold your fire until I give the command, Ilara instructed, her heart pounding in her chest. We need to wait for the perfect moment. The enemy fleet advanced, sleek vessels moving in precise formation, their weapon systems glowing ominously. Ilara focused on the flagship, a towering behemoth that pulsed with energy. She felt a knot of determination tighten within her. Steady, she whispered, watching as the enemy ships neared. Steady. With a shudder, Korath's fleet opened fire, bright beams of energy shooting through the darkness of space. Ilara's stomach dropped as she saw the coalition's defense ships scrambling to respond. Now, she shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos. Target the flagship. Fire. The energy projectors unleashed a brilliant arc of blue light, cutting through the void like a bolt of lightning. The shot struck the flagship dead center, sending shockwaves rippling through the enemy formation. Direct hit. Thren cheered, his eyes wide with disbelief. But the flagship, while damaged, held strong. The return fire erupted from Korath's vessels, beams of energy lancing toward Asterisk, the resolute Asterisk. Ilara felt the ship shudder under the impact, alarms blaring as shields absorbed the assault. Shields at 60%. One of the crew shouted, urgency lacing their voice. Reinforce the shields. Redirect power from auxiliary systems. Ilara ordered, her mind racing. They had to hold on. Thren, prepare another shot. Aim for their engines this time. The crew worked feverishly, fingers flying over consoles. Ilara glanced at the display, her resolve hardening. They had to keep pressing their advantage. Firing. Thren shouted, and another bolt of energy tore through space, striking the flagship's engines. This time, the ship erupted in a fiery explosion, debris scattering across the battlefield. A cheer erupted from the crew, but Ilara knew better than to celebrate prematurely. Keep your focus, she reminded them. This is just the beginning. As Korath's fleet reeled from the loss of their flagship, Ilara felt a shift in momentum. Their confidence surged as they launched into the fray. Asterisk, the resolute Asterisk, leading the charge against the remaining enemy vessels. But amidst the chaos, she knew that Korath wouldn't back down easily. He was relentless and cunning. Prepare for a counterattack, she warned, her senses heightened. We're not out of the woods yet. The battle raged on, but with each strike, Ilara felt the fire of humanity igniting in her and her crew. They were fighting not just for their survival, but to reclaim their legacy. And as Asterisk, the resolute Asterisk, roared through the stars, she realized they were poised to become more than a curiosity. They were about to etch humanity's name into the annals of galactic history. The debris from the flagship floated like shrapnel in the aftermath of the explosion, glimmering in the void as the Resolute darted through the remnants of the battle. Ilara felt the exhilaration wash over her, but she quickly reined in her excitement. Korath's fleet was still formidable, and the remaining ships began to regroup, their tactics shifting in response to the loss. Enemy ships are adjusting their formation. Thren called out from his station, his brow furrowed. They're focusing fire on us. Reinforce the shields, Ilara commanded, her voice steady as her heart raced. We need to stay mobile. Thren, can you pinpoint any vulnerabilities in their remaining ships? Working on it, he replied, fingers flying over his console. If we can take out their artillery ships, we might cripple their firepower. But their defenses are tight. It'll be tricky. Then let's give them a reason to scatter. Ilara's mind raced as she considered their next move. What about the hidden weapon we found earlier? Can we deploy it now? The AI's calm voice filled the control room. The secondary weapon system, designated Neutron Pulse, is fully operational. It has the potential to disable multiple enemy ships within a limited radius. Ilara's eyes lit up. How much energy will it require? Approximately 80% of current reserves. Utilizing this weapon will temporarily drain the ship's power, leaving us vulnerable for a brief period. She hesitated for a moment, weighing the risks. If we can take out their artillery, it will buy us the time we need to recover. We have to make this count. Do it, Thren urged, a fierce glint in his eyes. We can't let them regroup. Okay, we'll make it a coordinated strike. Ilara decided, adrenaline surging through her. Thren, give me the coordinates for the artillery ships. Everyone else, brace yourselves for the pulse. This is going to be a big one. As her crew rallied, Ilara focused on the display, locking in on the enemy ships. She felt the tension in the air, each heartbeat amplifying her determination. With a deep breath, she activated the weapon systems. Neutron Pulse charging, the AI announced, the lights flickering ominously as energy surged through the ship. Charge at 50%, 70%, 80%. Now, Ilara shouted, her voice slicing through the anticipation. Fire. A massive wave of energy erupted from the Resolute, rippling outward in a brilliant shockwave. The pulse expanded, engulfing the nearest artillery ships in a dazzling display of light. Ilara watched in awe as the enemy vessels shimmered and then went dark, their systems failing in the blink of an eye. Direct hit. They're disabled. Thren cheered, his excitement palpable. But the victory was short-lived as alarms blared throughout the ship. Energy reserves hit critical levels. Powering down non-essential systems, the AI warned. Redirect power to shields. Ilara commanded, adrenaline pumping through her veins. We need to hold on. The crew scrambled to maintain control, working in perfect sync. The Resolute shuddered as the remaining ships fired back, beams of energy slicing through space and striking their shields with relentless force. Ilara gritted her teeth, feeling the impact reverberate through the ship. Hang in there, she urged her crew. We've come too far to back down now. The enemy ships, realizing they were losing momentum, began to retreat. A few were still operational, regrouping and trying to coordinate a counteroffensive. Ilara seized the opportunity. We can't let them escape. Thren, can we get enough power to fire the energy projectors one last time? Just enough, he replied, determination hardening his features. We need to do this quickly. Prepare to fire on the retreating vessels. Ilara commanded, her voice ringing with resolve. Let's finish this. The crew moved with precision, their hearts united in purpose. As the energy projectors charged up once more, Ilara felt a sense of clarity wash over her. They had awakened Asterisk, the Resolute Asterisk, but it was more than just a ship. It was a symbol of humanity's defiance. With the enemy's formation in sight, she steadied her hand on the control panel. Now, she shouted, and the projectors unleashed their fury, bright beams of energy piercing the void and finding their marks. One by one, the remaining ships succumbed, and the battlefield erupted in a symphony of light and destruction. As the last enemy vessel fell silent, a deafening cheer filled the control room. We did it, Thren exclaimed, elation flooding his voice. Ilara couldn't help but smile, but she knew this victory was only the beginning. They had proven themselves, but Korath would not take this loss lightly. She turned to her crew, their faces lit with triumph. Prepare for a potential counterattack. We need to be ready for anything. As the remnants of Korath's fleet scattered into the darkness, Ilara felt a fire ignite within her. a determination that this was just the first chapter in humanity's return to glory, and with the Resolute at her command, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. The celebration aboard the Resolute was short-lived. As the crew reveled in their hard-won victory, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling of unease creeping over her. They had defeated Korath's fleet, but the larger war loomed ahead, and she knew it wouldn't take long for the general to regroup and retaliate. "Status report," Ilara called, her voice slicing through the jubilant atmosphere. Thren and the rest of the crew quickly refocused, their expressions shifting from elation to determination. "Enemy vessels are in retreat, but we've sustained damage," Thren replied, his fingers flying over the console. "We'll need time to repair before we can engage again." "Understood. Start repairs immediately, but maintain a defense perimeter," Ilara instructed, her mind racing. "We can't let our guard down." As her crew got to work, Ilara received a comms request from High Commander Celis. She took a deep breath and activated the holographic interface. Celis's figure flickered into view, his expression a mix of relief and concern. "Dr. Voss, congratulations on your victory. You've proven that the Resolute can be a formidable ally in this war," Celis began, his tone measured. "But we have bigger issues at hand. Korath will not take this defeat lightly. We need to gather our forces and prepare for his next move." "Agreed, Commander. But we also need to ensure that we're ready for any betrayals from within," Ilara replied, her thoughts drifting back to the council meeting before the battle. "Some factions in the coalition may see our success as a threat rather than an advantage." Celis nodded, his eyes narrowing. "We have factions that desire power above all else. Your recent rise could provoke envy or worse. Be cautious." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. She had sensed the shifting tides of loyalty within the coalition during their last meeting. "I'll keep an eye on my team and the council," she assured him. Just then, alarms blared throughout the ship, and the AI's voice rang out, cutting through the tension. "Intruder alert. Unauthorized personnel detected in the engineering bay." "What?" Ilara exclaimed, adrenaline surging once more. "Lock down the ship." As crew members scrambled to respond, Ilara dashed toward the engineering bay, her heart racing. Thren followed closely behind, his face a mask of determination. "What do you think they want?" "I don't know, but we have to stop them," she replied, pushing through the corridors of the ship. They reached the engineering bay just as the intruders, two coalition officers, were attempting to sabotage the ship's power systems. "Stop right there," Ilara shouted, raising her weapon. The intruders froze, turning to face her with wide eyes. "Dr. Voss, wait," one of them pleaded, hands raised in surrender. "We were sent here to—" "Sent by whom?" Thren interjected, advancing. "Are you trying to destroy our only chance against Korath?" The other officer, a stout figure with a grim expression, stepped forward. "You don't understand. Some factions believe the Resolute's power is too great for one group to control. They fear what you represent." "Fear?" Ilara scoffed, incredulous. "We just saved the coalition. You're putting us all in danger." The officers exchanged nervous glances, clearly rattled. "If Korath returns, and you control this ship, it could mean the end for those of us who oppose him." The stout officer continued. "We were sent to—" "Sent to what?" "To cripple our defenses." Ilara shot back. "You're risking everything." Just then, alarms blared again, and the AI's voice filled the air. "Incoming transmission from Korath's remaining fleet. They are regrouping and preparing for another assault." Ilara's heart sank. "We don't have time for this. You need to help us defend Asterisk, the Resolute Asterisk, and the Coalition." The officers exchanged uncertain looks before the stout one nodded reluctantly. "We will help. But understand, many of us still see you as a threat." Ilara's mind raced. "We're fighting for all of us. If we don't stand together, Korath will destroy everything we hold dear." "Fine." The other officer relented, still wary. We'll assist, but this isn't over. The Council will not easily forget this. With that, the two officers joined Thren and the rest of the crew as they hurried back to the command center. Ilara felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. They were united for now, but the seeds of betrayal had been planted. As they reached the control room, Ilara took a deep breath, her resolve solidifying. Prepare the resolute for immediate engagement. We need to be ready for anything. As the crew scrambled to their stations, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was just beginning. Korath would return, and with him, the threat of betrayal from within. But for now, she steeled herself for the fight ahead, knowing they had to prove their worth once more, not just to their enemies, but to their allies. The atmosphere aboard the Resolute grew tense as Ilara and her crew prepared for the imminent return of Korath's forces. They had just repelled an attack, but she knew the general wouldn't stay down for long. The coalition officers, now begrudging allies, moved cautiously among the crew, their wary glances reminding Ilara of the fragile alliance they were trying to forge. Status update. Ilara called out, her voice firm as she paced the command center. Thren, eyes glued to the tactical display, looked up, determination etched on his face. The enemy is regrouping about 20 minutes out, he reported. We've got enough time to finish repairs and optimize the weapon systems. If we hit hard, we might catch them off guard again. Good, Ilara replied, but her heart sank as she thought about the potential for betrayal. The coalition officers, while currently cooperating, still posed a risk. What about our new guests? Thren glanced at the officers, who were conferring in hushed tones at the back of the room. They're staying out of the way, but I can't shake the feeling they're waiting for an opportunity. Keep an eye on them, she instructed. I don't trust anyone who isn't fully committed to this fight. Just then, the AI chimed in, its calm voice breaking the silence. Enemy ships have re-entered sensor range. Their formation is tighter than before, and they appear to be coordinating an attack strategy. Ilara took a deep breath, forcing herself to focus. Thren, prepare the energy projectors for another offensive. We need to disrupt their formation before they can strike. Already on it, he replied, fingers dancing over the controls. The tactical display shifted, highlighting the incoming fleet. Ilara studied the enemy formation. Korath had clearly adapted. They were approaching with increased caution. She could almost see the glint of determination in their ships' hulls, the remnants of the last battle driving them to strike harder this time. What's their expected path? She asked, urgency creeping into her voice. They're coming in from the left flank, likely hoping to outmaneuver us again. Thren responded, tension coiling in his shoulders. If we can draw them toward our starboard side, we might be able to catch them off guard. Let's execute a feigned retreat, Ilara proposed, her mind racing. If we pull back slightly, we can lure them in and hit them with everything we've got once they're committed. The crew nodded, a sense of purpose replacing the earlier uncertainty. Ilara felt the familiar fire of resolve ignite within her. They were fighting for their lives, for humanity's legacy, and she was determined not to let them down. Prepare for maneuvering, she called out, her voice steady. All crew, to battle stations. As the crew moved into action, the atmosphere crackled with energy. Ilara watched the tactical display, her pulse quickening. This would be a crucial moment, not just for the Resolute but for the coalition as a whole. Enemy fleet is approaching. Thren shouted, urgency infusing his voice. They're taking the bait. Hold steady, Ilara commanded, her heart pounding. Wait for my mark. The enemy ships closed in, their weapons glowing ominously as they prepared to unleash a barrage. Ilara felt the tension in the air thicken, a palpable energy vibrating through the ship. Her crew was ready, each member attuned to the rhythm of their shared purpose. Now, she shouted, and the ship executed a swift maneuver, pulling away from the enemy's advance. Fire the energy projectors. Brilliant beams of energy erupted from the Resolute striking the leading ships of Korath's fleet. The explosions lit up the void, illuminating the darkness as the enemy ships faltered in their advance. Direct hits. They're disorganized. Thren cheered, excitement breaking through the tension. Keep firing. Target their command ships next. Ilara commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. The crew rallied, each pulse of energy connecting with the enemy vessels, sending them spiraling into disarray. But just as victory seemed within grasp, alarms blared once more, and the AI's voice cut through the din. Multiple unauthorized power surges detected in the engineering bay. What now? Ilara snapped, dread washing over her. Thren, can you maintain our offensive while we investigate? Not if they're trying to sabotage the systems, he replied, frustration evident. We need to contain this. Ilara's heart raced. We can't afford distractions now. I'll take a team to the engineering bay, keep the attack going, but prepare to pull back if necessary. As she gathered a small team, including Thren, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was still ahead. Korath might be an external threat, but the potential for betrayal lurked closer to home. The stakes were higher than ever, and with each passing moment, the lines between ally and enemy blurred further. Stay sharp, Ilara warned as they made their way through the corridors. We need to protect the Resolute from within and without. Let's finish this. Ilara and her team rushed through the narrow corridors of Asterisk, the Resolute Asterisk, tension hanging thick in the air. Each step felt heavy with the weight of their mission. They had just launched a fierce counterattack against Korath's fleet, but the alarm's warning of sabotage echoed in her mind. She needed to ensure the ship was secure before they could truly claim victory. As they entered the engineering bay, a scene of chaos greeted them. Sparks flew from control panels, and smoke curled up from the consoles. Two coalition officers stood at the heart of the mayhem, frantically trying to override systems. Stop right there, Ilara shouted, raising her weapon. The officers froze, startled by the sudden intrusion. We can explain. One of them called, panic evident in his voice. We were trying to shut down the ship's power for the greater good. Shut down the ship's power, Ilara echoed, incredulous. You're sabotaging our only hope against Korath. The stout officer stepped forward, desperation in his eyes. You don't understand. If Korath discovers what Asterisk, the Resolute Asterisk, can do, he'll come back in full force, and we'll be wiped out. We were trying to save you. Ilara's heart raced as she processed his words. By sabotaging our defenses, that's insane. Think about it. The other officer urged. You've awakened an ancient weapon. It's too powerful to be controlled by a single faction. We need to. Enough. Ilara snapped, cutting him off. We don't have time for this. You're endangering all of us. Stand down, or I will take you into custody. Before the officers could respond, the ship jolted violently, throwing everyone off balance. The overhead lights flickered as the alarms grew louder, signaling an incoming attack. Get to your stations, Ilara commanded. We need to stabilize the ship. As they scrambled to regain control, the AI's voice rang out. Incoming fire from Korath's fleet. They've regrouped and are preparing to attack. Activate emergency shields. Thren shouted, fingers flying over his console as he struggled to regain control of the power systems. The engineering bay shuddered again, but this time the shields flared to life, encasing Asterisk, the Resolute Asterisk, in a shimmering barrier. Keep the power flowing, Ilara yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. We can't let Korath take us down now. The two coalition officers, realizing the gravity of their actions, joined Thren in stabilizing the systems. Their earlier arguments faded into the background as they all focused on their shared goal. The imminent threat of Korath's fleet demanded their cooperation, regardless of past grievances. Shields at 70%, Thren announced, his brow furrowed in concentration. If we can withstand the initial strike, we can counterattack. Good. Prepare the energy projectors, Ilara instructed, adrenaline surging. Let's show Korath we're not afraid. Just as they stabilized the ship, the warning klaxon blared, signaling the enemy's approach. The control panels lit up with alerts, and the tactical display filled with red dots. Korath's fleet was closing in fast. Now, Ilara shouted, her heart racing. Fire at will. Bright beams of energy shot forth from the Resolute, striking the incoming vessels with deadly precision. The first volley caught several enemy ships off guard, sending them spiraling into the void. Direct hits. They're in disarray. Thren cheered, but Ilara kept her focus on the battlefield, watching as Korath's forces attempted to regroup. Don't let up. We need to maintain the pressure, she commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. Target their command ships. If we can disrupt their coordination, we can turn the tide. As the crew worked in unison, Ilara felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were more than a crew. They were a family, standing together against a common enemy. Korath had underestimated them before, and now they would not let this chance slip away. The energy projectors fired again, beams lancing through space and striking the heart of Korath's formation. Explosions lit up the dark expanse, and cheers erupted with an asterisk, the Resolute asterisk, as the enemy ships faltered. But Korath wasn't done yet. His flagship, battered but still operational, unleashed a powerful retaliatory strike, targeting asterisk, the Resolute asterisk, directly. The ship shuddered under the impact, alarms blaring as the shields began to falter. Shields at 40%. We're taking heavy damage. Thren shouted, panic creeping into his voice. Redirect all power to shields. We can't let them take us down now. Ilara ordered, her heart pounding in her chest. Prepare to fire the neutron pulse again. We'll take them out in one go. As the crew worked furiously, Ilara glanced at the coalition officers, who were now fully committed. Let's end this together. Charging the neutron pulse, Thren confirmed. The ship trembled with energy as the pulse built up, a brilliant light forming at the bow. Now, Ilara shouted as the ship trembled with energy. Fire. The pulse erupted from the Resolute, a wave of destructive energy cascading toward Korath's flagship. Time seemed to slow as the light expanded, swallowing the enemy ship in a blinding explosion. As the light faded, Ilara held her breath, waiting for confirmation. The tactical display flickered, and then silence. Korath's flagship was gone. A cheer erupted throughout asterisk, the Resolute asterisk, a sound of triumph that echoed through the corridors. Ilara felt a surge of pride and relief wash over her. Victory! Thren shouted, his voice filled with exhilaration. But as the remnants of Korath's fleet scattered into the void, Ilara knew the battle wasn't over. There would be more challenges ahead, more betrayals, but they had proven themselves today. Let's get back to the command center, Ilara said, her heart still racing. We have a galaxy to protect and a legacy to reclaim. As the Resolute soared through the stars, she felt the weight of history on their shoulders, but for the first time in a long while, hope surged within her. Together, they could face whatever came next, united in their fight for a future worth fighting for.